Thank you so much for staying with us. My guest, Senate Minority Leader Enyinnaya Abaribe. John Spinell, thank you so much.
Thank you
For coming over.
My pleasure, always.
Yeah, we expect the Senate to resume. That should be by tomorrow.
Yes, the Senate will resume tomorrow.
So we hope you enjoyed your recess.
Well, I don't know whether any Nigerian can say they are enjoying anything within this country. The difficulties that we face everywhere is making it very difficult for anybody to relax and say, okay, all is well. All is not well.
What has changed in your lifetime? Nigeria of that period and Nigeria of today. I let you be 66 very soon. What has it been for you, seeing Nigeria growing up in Aba, I think, and all these processes? Now you find yourself in the private sector, public sector, deputy governor, Senate for almost 4 terms now. What has it been for you in terms of Nigeria's political development?
I can only talk about, in terms of politics, yes, I can only talk about from 1999 when I was an active participant. But talking about what has changed in Nigeria, part of it I put, as part of my birthday celebration, I'm going to present a book. A small book, an autobiography, and in there, I also put in some stories that will capture what Nigeria used to be. And I will just give you a snippet of it. I was part of the independence generation. I was 5 years old when Nigeria had the independence. In 1960, I had just entered elementary school, and there was so much prospect. There was so much that we thought we were going to go into a brave new world, which the expectation was so high. Now, fast forward to 1967, and I was in the secondary school then, and therefore the war came, and we had to go home and went through the war process. And by the time I came back to go to school in 1970, we had lost 3 years. I was in class 1, so we started in class 2, so we had lost 3 years. But we went forward. And I'll tell you this story, very, very interesting story. In 1975, I went to the University of Benin. We were just told that, oh, the University of Benin, if you have a grade 1 in the school certificate, that they would take you because they were opening the School of Arts. University of Benin used to be only an engineering school. And I went there without anything. I didn't have to say I came from this local government. I didn't come with something to identify me.
State of origin?
Nothing, all those type of things never were there. I just walked in there and said, this is who I am. And they said, okay. They checked Daily Times newspaper. I said, oh, these are the people who had grade 1. I saw my name and said, fine. So they gave me all the papers and I went to go and register to be a student. Nobody asked for any money from me. Nobody asked for anything. I mean, that was the Nigeria that I was part of.
The Nigeria that you met?
That I met. And I was part of it. Fast forward to 1985. I had written an application to join SEO as a group. And one day, in a restaurant, I was also reading the same Daily Times, because that was about the only newspaper we had then. And I saw a list of names there. Oh, please come for interview tomorrow at Yaba Tedro, where they were doing the first computer-based tests. And I saw my name there. And I went to Lagos, went to the place. And that was not the issue. The issue really was this. The company had written letters to each person to come. Some people kept those letters and refused to give it to those people that they felt their names didn't attach to their primordial areas. But the personnel manager of the company then, his name is Ifaturoti. He's from the West, yet he said, no, this cannot happen under me. Therefore, publish it in the newspaper so that everybody can come to get a test. And so you could see that at that time, that revered gentleman, I don't know whether he's still there now, didn't look at ethnicity, didn't look at anything. That was the Nigeria that we had.
Can you say it's the same now with allegations of
That is the point. That is the point. Today, somebody is there and is from the Southwest, assuming that, yeah, I say, okay, I will only take Southwest people, I only trust them. And that's exactly what we see happening with the federal government, where you only trust a part of the people that you have the responsibility for. And so that is the type of, you know, everybody's life is a series of stories. And those are the stories that I've told inside that book.
Do you think we can get those good old days back?
Yes. All that it needs is a few good men. So people who are committed to Nigeria. What we see today are people who are committed to an ethnic group and not to the country as we saw it.
At what point did we begin to miss the road? Democracy returned in 1999. Is it at that point, or was it during the military dictatorial era?
I think we lost it from 2015. All along, every leader that we had always tried to make sure that they accommodate everybody. Once you're in office, you know that you no longer belong to. It was the fact of the present leadership that saw some people as adversarial and saw some people as not worthy. And then, of course, when the present leadership came and went to the US and made a statement about 97%, 5% and all that. So that emboldened those who would prefer to benefit from keeping everybody else outside. And we have gone downhill since then.
Are you looking for accurate, factual, undiluted Nigerian and foreign news? Then look no further. Yan's Nigerian Foremost News Outlet provides you with balanced news items across several categories, such as
local,
politics,
foreign,
gossips,
entertainment,
documentaries,
opinion and sports. Our team of professional journalists and reporters will ensure that you stay informed at all times, because information is power.
You can also watch exciting visual contents like daily news recap,
Inside the Parliament,
celeb gist,
Vox Pop,
and documentaries from our sisters platform,
Yans TV. At Yans, professionalism is our watchword.
Yans Media Limited.
Excellence in service delivery.
I think that every time you think Nigeria will not sink lower, it surprises you that we sink to that level. So let's just put this in proper perspective. So some people go on a rampage, murder, pillage, do everything, and we go to visit them. And then we say, oh, let us give them amnesty. I mean, if you continue to pay a blackmailer, he will never stop. He will continue to up the stakes. The question of amnesty is not today that we had it. It's been done. The army even has something they talk about, you know, repentant Boko Haram and all that. And one of my colleagues, Senator Ndume, gave a graphic example saying that one of the repentant people came and killed his father and mother after the so-called training or making sure that or rehabilitation and so forth. So that means that if it didn't work with the Boko Haram, why would it work with this set of murderous people and the Fulani militia that we have giving us trouble all over the country. And so I think that maybe government has given up on its responsibility of providing the necessary deterrence. Because it's like this. If you, the reason why we have a government is that we have given up our rights to being able to take care of us to an institution with the necessary of, violently making sure that everybody is safe. And so we have given up that right, and then we have people who are now going around doing everything. And so what do you see going on in Nigeria today is that every part of the country now feels that they have to provide for themselves, that which government has not done. And most of the time, I think that people really have to take time to go back to where did they start. I think the other day, at the birthday...
Sorry, you said government giving up. I thought there is some military operations going on in the Northwest.
Well, if there were, and it was effective, then somebody will not be there today, Shegumi, and telling us that the only way to resolve it is that we should give amnesty to these people. So you can see that it's just not working. The solution is not there. And I don't think that the solution will come by just giving up and throwing up your hands and saying, okay, let us give in to them. So if you give in to them and they say, okay, the only way we can do this is that you give us a part of this country as our own caliphate. What do? Will you do that? And so we find ourselves in a very, very difficult situation. And that situation needs what you have here, focus. It needs for the government to say this much and no more. And I think the other day too, Professor Wole Soyinka, in answering a question, I think it was BBC Pidgin, I saw that clip. And Wole Soyinka said, this is what needs to be done. First, it has to be done by the president of Nigeria. He needs to come out. He needs to say A, B, C. He needs to also give orders to both the military, the police, and all that, say, you cannot accept this anymore. All that is going on, all that has led us to this point is the lip service that has been paid to serious intervention in the crisis that we have. And because the people who are perpetrating this see themselves as being provided a necessary cover. And yeah, so they go ahead and do what they feel like. So until that stops, what we will continue to do is a degeneration of the crisis. And I don't know where it's going to lead us. Maybe, like some people have said, we are gradually going to both Somalia and Afghanistan. I think Shonola Olumese, a columnist, wrote something years back, going to Afghanistan, and we used to laugh and said, it will never happen here. But what do we see happening today? What do we see happening today?
There have some narrative from government officials, including the president, that some of these bandits are from outside the country. Now, if amnesty is an option, who are we likely to offer this amnesty?
So you see,
Nigerians or foreigners?
So you see the problem that we have when a simplistic solution is provided for a very serious problem. And I said that we may need to go back to find where this started. At the beginning of this insurgency, most of us cried out and shouted and pointedly accused the government of being lackadaisical in their approach. And there were a lot of reasons given, and one of the reasons given was also by the same presidency saying that, oh, these were influx of people coming from outside after the war in Libya and so forth. And we now said, if these were foreigners, why would you treat them with kid gloves? And your own citizens, you don't treat them with kid gloves. Every little thing on the citizenry, you come back with very harsh reprisals. Yet, these foreigners are coming, and you leave these foreigners. Now, Baraje, the former PDP acting chairman, the other day on the 70th birthday, gave us an insight in how this whole thing started and said that prior to the 2015 elections against Jonathan, that elements within this particular government actually invited these Fulani militias to come to cause mayhem if they lost the election. And that they said at that time, and we're telling these people, this is going to go to unimaginable. I
read that and I was waiting for a response either from the APC or from the government for us to really situate and authenticate that assertion credited to Baraje, but I have not seen any.
Precisely, because it's true. These people were brought in,
perhaps in the days to
used,
come,
and of course they have said that they're not going anywhere again. And then they are being told that, oh, that this whole area called Nigeria is theirs for the taking. And so, I'm sure that even those who invited them in can no longer reach them and can no longer even tell them to go away. So, what do you do in this circumstance? And we go back. And I want every Nigerian to please look for Wole Soyinka's recipe. You will see that these are things that need to be done. The president of Nigeria can no longer continue to pretend that all is well and I'm not going to talk to anybody. You must come out. The reason why we elect you is so that the buck stops on your table. And the biggest problem we have today is this raging insecurity and problems, kidnapping, banditry, this, that. And of course, you know what happened? When the people from Boko Haram side drifted over to the northwest and the media were shouting and saying, oh, these people are moving. They say, oh, don't talk about them. No longer call them Boko Haram. Don't call them this. Start to call them bandits. Of course, they are Fulani militia. The Sultan of Sokoto the other day also said that out of every 10 persons caught kidnapping, 8 were Fulani.
But he also said that is not enough to begin to stereotype an entire
Of course, you
group.
cannot stereotype people because of what some people do. What now happens is this. Why would the Fulani that are law-abiding, that live all over Nigeria, that are in responsible positions, not be able to come out and say, no, so far, no more, can't happen, you can't bring these people. So, and we have always said, oh, people come from Niger, people come from Mali, people come from this and that. And of course, the Nigerian government continues to pretend that all is well. All is not well. We are not sure that that Nigeria of 1960 to 1985 down to 1990 that I know as the Nigerian of today will ever come back to us.
The president yesterday, while addressing a summit of the African Union, put a charge on the table for the Pan-African group. You die reform or you die. The same pressures people are putting on the president in Nigeria to reform, restructure, re-engineer the country, or it goes the way of Rwanda. Some say, you said Afghanistan, some say the road to Rwanda. If the president recognizes the need for a Pan-African body to recognize, to reform, should he also not look in West to see how, as they say, charity begins at home, to begin to think of ways of reforming our body politic?
Well, let's just put it this way. Some of us have given up on this government. Some people say,
you've not given up on the country.
I have not given up because we have to be eternal optimists that things can get better. And when this type of things happen. So when the president is talking about reformation, he's also indicting himself, because at every point, all that people have said is this contraption is no longer working. We need to all come together and have a discussion. They don't even want to have a discussion. And you could see the consequences of not talking about it. The consequence of not talking about it is increasing failure of government. And that's a big pity for us, for each and every one of us who's a patriot in Nigeria.
We'll go for a short break now. When we come back, more issues on the table waiting for Senator Abaribe's attention. Please do stay with us.
Are you looking for accurate, factual, undiluted Nigerian and foreign news? Then look no further. Yan's Nigerian foremost news outlet provides you with balanced news items across several categories, such as
local,
politics,
foreign,
gossips,
entertainment,
documentaries,
opinion and sports. Our team of professional journalists and reporters will ensure that you stay informed at all times, because information is power.
You can also watch exciting visual content like daily news recap,
Inside the Parliament,
celeb gist,
Vox Pop,
and documentaries from our sisters platform,
Yans TV. At Yans, professionalism is our watchword.
Yans Media Limited.
Excellence in service delivery.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Senator Enyinnaya Abaribe, Senate Minority Leader, has been weighing in on topical national issues. Before we restart again, let's go straight to our Twitter feed. Cas Clement has a question for the senator here. He says, one thing baffles him on federal character. How is it that all those skilled appointments got passed with senators from the South voting for it? Because I feel the members from the Southeast could, for instance, stage a walkout to protest the imbalance in the distribution of positions.
Well, I don't blame him. Most of those appointments do not need confirmation in the Senate. At least up to 80% of the appointments don't need confirmation. Those ones that need confirmation, what normally happens is that when it comes to the floor, then it becomes a vote. And when it becomes a vote, part of the ruling party members are twisted to just toe the party line. And that's what they continue to tell you. Say, oh, the president cannot make a mistake. So if we say no, it will mean that we are indicting our president. And so because of that, and even though they come back and tell you that they don't accept this, but what can they do?
They're hamstrung.
Yeah, they are just hamstrung. It happens in parliamentary democracy. At the end of the day, it's always the numbers that determine what happens.
Yes, I've seen some protests, but like you said, the majority.
Well, we protest. I mean, people see me
more
protest.
Action, more action, more visible action.
I think what Nigerians need to also do, which they don't do, is pressure your representative. Pressure your representative. Send message to them. Try to go to their constituency offices and say, this is how we feel. A lot of people are complacent. They just lie back, and then, they expect that things will be done. Because people react under pressure too. If somebody knows that, oh, I'm going to go and seek election tomorrow, he would act in the best interest of his constituency. That is the position.
Okay, you're part of the leadership of the Senate. Some people, and it's gaining ground and gaining momentum, have described the Senate, in fact, the entire National Assembly as rubber stamp. Does it affect you? You're part of a leadership of a legislature termed rubber stamp by some people?
Well, of course, it's not just that people say it. People have told me to my face, and there's no other way you can, put it. But I think the question too of being a rubber stamp also depends on how you look at it. And I've said it. I have my own feelings. I make it known. If my colleagues find it difficult to put national interest before party interest, well, there's nothing much I can do about that. I bet we make it very well known at all times. This is not good. This we think should be done better and all that. And like I said, what we see today coming from the federal government of Nigeria under APC is a situation where some parts of this country are not seen as equal partners in the business of Nigeria. That's all.
You once called for the resignation of the president based on the growing insecurity. Do you still maintain that stance? And what kind of reaction did you get from your party members, from other senators, and from even the government?
Well, I think that was in 2017. And since then, of course, the talk about resignation has resonated, and so many people have said. At the time I said it,
so many followers now.
Yeah, at the time I said it, I actually was trying to say, let us head off a catastrophe facing us. And usually, when you do that, you are misinterpreted. And of course, what I meant, which I still continue to, is if you're incapable of doing the right thing, quit, so that those who are capable can actually do the right thing. The bane of Africa has always been that we have the Kabiesi syndrome. And it's part of what is in my book. We have the Kabiesi syndrome. Once somebody gets into office, he is imbued with I will say extraordinary powers.
Little jigger.
And everybody now says, oh, he is a god, whatever he says is right, and so on and so forth. But I'm an Igbo man. And we have a saying that when the king is going the wrong way, that you put a basket on your head and tell him the appropriate thing. So what we are saying is that people are not putting baskets on their head and telling the king the appropriate thing, assuming that we call our president the king. It's not. It's actually the other way around. It's a public servant that we have elected into office to serve us. But, you know, somehow, you need to read that book.
It will make an interesting reading.
You turn it around and it becomes now. And of course, once you have a king, you have all the courtiers, you have all the this, and that's what we see all over the place. And of course, some people take it upon themselves to attack you daily for being vocal.
Critical.
Let's just say vocal. Oh, you're not loyal because you're saying this is wrong. You understand. And so, what I think that the APC government need to do today is that they need to actually do a retreat. Go back, think through all the promises that they made to Nigerians. And they have failed all. So they need to ask themselves the question, why? And how do we come out of this morass? Because if they don't do it, I'm afraid, very, very afraid, that this may be the last government that will be in this country. Because right now, what you see is that every part of this country is getting ready to say,
resort to self-help.
of course. And if everybody resort to self-help, then the essence of government at the center no longer is... yes.
We talked about resort to self-help. We are seeing Amoteco in the Southwest, Eastern Security Network in the Southeast, taking over security responsibility. But out of the ESN is linked to IPOB and no legal backing. How will it fit into the security arrangement?
Well, let's just put it this way. There's also another Igbo proverb that says that it's only the tree that you come out with a knife and it will still stand there until you cut it down. Human beings react to situations. And so